Yeah.
I wish they'd go back to that. I wish they'd go back to the old Kelly Green jerseys. But all right, guys, welcome into Dawg Talk. Nick Wilson, and I've got two. I hate to even call y'all guests because y'all been in this studio for years and on countless episodes.
It's throwback.
Yeah, this is like a mini reunion. And it feels really good to have you guys back in the studio, to be honest with you. But Mickey Farmer.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, Mickey Farmer to my right and Kevin Moore to my left.
Especially not the FCC has cleared me to
come back.
Yeah.
So
does Miss Ford know where I'm here right now?
She does.
Okay.
Well, no, she doesn't, but she will.
So
when this airs, she'll know.
Rumors were that she got sent to the ER, so I hope it has nothing to do with me being in here on campus.
So welcome back, guys. I'm really, really, really excited to have you guys here. This is now that Dawg Talk is we're a podcast, but it's still basically the same show. We sit down, we interview people, and for the first episode back in a really long time, I wanted to have you two guys on because one, I know it'd be a good conversation just in general. You guys are both very familiar with interviewing, being interviewed, all that good stuff, but we just witnessed one of the most fun, exciting, maybe historic in terms of bounce back seasons in Ashville football history. And both of you were there for every game on the sideline, just like I was. Let's talk about it. Let's kind of go through it. So when Mark got hired back a year ago now, really, a year ago as of the recording of this episode, what were your guys' first thoughts about what the upcoming 2025 football season was going to be like for Asheville?
Well, me and our good friend Hobart, we were talking about it, and he thought we had a chance to do really well, and I was like, well, hey, I always like to take the green and white glasses off and look at it realistically. And by the way, if I start talking and sounding, I'm trying to get back into radio, so I'm trying to work on my voice so I don't sound like somebody on highway, so I don't sound like a 411 boy. But anyway, he thought we had a chance to win, winning season, and I said, I looked at the schedule and I thought Springville, new coaching staff. If we can catch them early, that's a win. Aniana, I figured pretty much, the momentum swinging between both programs. I thought that's a win. And then I realized that we had the Talladega had canceled on because made a schedule change.
Game.
We picked up the Decatur Heritage. I thought that's a win. And White Plains, even though a new coaching staff, I thought, if they start buying in early, that game would be a struggle. But I thought that could probably be 3 to 4 wins right there. Mm-hmm. And then after we beat Etowah, I thought, hey, we've got a chance to do something very special if we can, because I first mentioned, if Coach Sanders can win 3 or 4 games, you got to give him Coach of the Year. And I said that back then. I had no idea that we'd be sitting there at 1.6-2 because I just thought the schedule is so tough. And but we had experienced guys coming back, and I will say this: when you mentioned about this being a fun season. No disrespect to any other team, and it was more fun watching this team just as much, or probably more than the '92 season.
For you?
Yeah, because the way we won the games, because in '92 we just bulldozed everybody except for maybe a couple of games. But we came from behind against Aniana, or Springville came behind against Aniana, and then we had the win against Hoax Bluff. I mean, these kids learned adversity. And if you just seen the look on my face in the Hoax Bluff game when it was 4th and 3 on our own 18, and they decided to go for it. At first, I thought, what in the world are we doing? I thought, well, he's got confidence in him. And then when I saw Jamon turn around the corner, I saw he had the first down. I thought, hey, we got the first down, 5 yards, slide on the ball. But no, 84 whatever yards. And I thought, and I had Hayden Coker on speakerphone because he was broadcasting a game from Georgia. I'm like, hey, buddy, I need to call you back because I'm about to, And then I had a couple of people on Facebook messaging me, what's going on, what's the update? And I thought, well, let me watch the game first and see what's going on. And then it was 24-14, and of course their quarterback, almost, I mean, look at me, he's got 65 yards and it's 24-21. I thought, hold on to the ball, we've got this. And then, but like I said, it was just and then the Hamilton game. I mean, that was another game we should have had, but like I said, we started out kind of strong, but finished well. So it was just it was fun watching every week this year, especially when we got to bring back the cheer that we do in post game. Mm-hmm. It's been a while since.
It had been since Shea that had happened. Because that was.
See, I don't remember. I must have. I don't know where I must have had my head in the sand.
That was Jeremiah Monroe, who was one of our linemen, one of our offensive linemen. After every win, when Shea was here, when Jeremiah was a junior and a senior, so there were 2 years there that we did it. Jeremiah Monroe would lead us in that.
Okay, all right. So
at the end of every game, he asked Coach Monroe, and I believe Coach Browning was in on that too. I believe he talked to Coach Browning about it, and Jeremiah and Coach Browning kind of approached Coach Monroe about it. I want to say that would have been the fall of 21, and because that would have been Dylan, Cole, and Chandler and Skylar and all them. That would have been their senior year. Cody Fincher, and yeah, I just remember that season, it coming back. And what was really special too was to see it happen, but to see. And no offense to, again, like you said, no offense to anybody, but to see that happen this year, the way that it happened, being led by the head coach, that was pretty cool. But talk about your perspective on it, Mickey, because he looked at it through the lens of how am I gonna classify this and what are the stats, that kind of a thing, which Kevin does really well. But like you were looking at it literally through the lens of a camera. So
yes.
What was your perspective on it?
Well, let me add to what y'all were talking about the Julius Cook song, chant.
Yeah.
Right, that's what we're talking about. I'm old enough to remember when Julius Cook did that here.
Yeah.
It's not been that long ago. If you might remember, he did it at some basketball games.
Yeah.
Probably back as recent as
mid-2000s.
2012.
It might have been because the last time I really remembered I was in middle school, and that would have been late middle school for me.
So they brought that back, and I thought it was brought back. It could have been brought back at a better time and been a more motivator used after the game. And it was kind of like a reward. The boys bought into it, the players.
We win, we sing.
That we win, we sing. And they started holding, Mark brought it in.
Yeah.
Coach Sanders brought it in. But the players, like, hey, we like this, and if we win, you're going to sing this song to us. We want, and they started their own little chant, sing the song.
Yeah.
Sing. And so he's like, okay, I owe it to him, so here I go, and it might have been a different key than last week. I always
We're not musicians,
Mark,
Mickey.
don't start it out too high because you're not going to reach the heights of this. But anyway, that was.
Well, it's funny you say that. We're not musicians, but it's funny. Mark actually is. So.
He is. But yeah, so I've been doing this sideline video thing now on a consistent basis for 10 years.
That's wild. You've been doing it for 10 years.
God, where's
10
Tom
seasons.
gone?
Yeah, I know. Wow.
We bought that first camera. I did it from an amateur.
You bought that first camera.
That's right. But,
there is no way you bought it.
You were in on that.
Yeah.
You were in on the technical side of it, and Panasonic HCX-1000.
But let me say this too, because it just jogged my memory, because I thought about it when the anniversary came up in October. It has been 10 years that the three of us have been doing this in some capacity together at Asheville. Can y'all believe that? We started it. I was a sophomore. I was a sophomore at Auburn, and I kind of brought it back remotely while I was going to school, while I was working for the team down there. But it was mostly you and Perkins Carden, if I remember correctly. And we've been doing this for
Perkins
10
Carden,
years.
Shout
out to Perkins.
As in the director of player operations for Kennesaw State.
Yeah.
Which got destroyed by Alabama yesterday.
I know there's
Bloody
multiple.
Perk.
Yeah, I love you.
Yeah, multiple rabbit trails. Can we dig back in time just a minute since you brought that up?
Go ahead.
Some people might not know how this really did get started. You started this somewhere in the time frame of 2013 or 14 when it was very difficult to cast this out over the internet.
Yeah.
The internet was still in what I consider an infancy as far as broadcasting from a local standpoint, for like high schools or anything else, churches. And so remind me of what was the first broadcast you did from the gym?
So, well, I got to give credit to Justin Gibbs. So Justin
That's right.
Gibbs, yeah, Justin Gibbs came in my junior year. I want to say it was my junior year, and Justin came in, and I was doing. I had gone full in, thanks to Coach Walls and Coach Rice on the videography side for football and basketball. And actually, that year it was kind of fortuitous. Jordan Bernard, not to get into the weeds, but anyway, there was somebody that came in to kind of help me on the video side of things with basketball. Well, Justin came in at about that time. We were really good in basketball, girls and boys basketball. There was a lot of energy around it. And actually, that season, we both teams made it to the regional tournament at Jacksonville State. And I've got a picture of myself and you and Sam Sager and your wife Pam sitting at the scores table at JSU.
That's right.
For the boys' game and the girls' game. Anyway, long story short,
that I videoed from the scoring table.
From the scores table. And so, but Justin kind of had the equipment because he had done some radio stuff on the side, and he came in, and we together kind of figured out this really elementary way to kind of do it, and started getting into sponsorships and started learning. And then when I graduated, we both kind of said, I think Justin moved on to Aniana to do it for Aniana. He went up there to a WCRL radio station out of Aniana and partnered with the Redskins. And I went on to Auburn and kind of forgot about it, but I only made it actually it might have been my freshman year that I kind of brought it back remotely, but it wasn't until 2015, the fall of 15, when we came together as a group, I think is really when it kind of coalesced.
And in between all that, I was shooting some events here, but I wasn't is well versed in making a finished product online. So I would shoot an event and I would drive to Auburn.
Yeah.
And hand off an SD card. We would swap cards.
I forgot about that.
At Auburn.
I forgot about that.
I bought my pickup there, so I had other purposes. I would go down and get my pickup service, go over to Nick, meet Nick for lunch, swap out SD cards, and he would pick up the work from there while he was at Auburn. We'll come back, and he would put a finished product online on that.
Funny you mention that is one Saturday morning, my wife, who sleeps in on Saturday morning, she gets up at 5:30 because normally during the week she'd get up at 4, and I was still halfway conked out of sleep. She's like, "Somebody just sent you a text at 5:30. Who sent you?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "What is it?" And she goes, "It's Kyle Field." And I thought, I know that's Nick Wilson because Auburn was playing Texas A&M that morning, and she's
at
like,
11 a.m.
Yeah, she was like,
yeah.
"Who is Nick Wilson?" I said, "I hadn't had to explain. That's the first time she had interaction with the Nick, so I had to explain who you were and what you were, because I had, I think I had just started kind of getting introduced to the Spirit Club.
That's right. That was another thing that came about that made this happen. But
and I had explained and she was like, "Well, why is he there that early? The game's not 2:30." I said, "Well, I said the video and audio crew, they have to get there just like a band. I mean, when a band goes on a tour, the stage is set up probably 24 hours before the concert.
Yeah,
and that's sort of what Nick is. He's doing because he's going to school to learn to do that, and that's how that's
Yeah. So it's funny you say that. I was telling somebody, I forgot I texted you. I was telling somebody a story about that. We were talking about Whataburger, and that was the first time I'd ever had Whataburger.
Oh, really?
In Whataburger breakfast.
Yeah.
I didn't know they served breakfast.
I didn't either.
Well, we stayed in Montgomery, Texas. We had to get to the stadium at 6 a.m. We left the hotel at 5 a.m. in Montgomery, Texas to go to College Station, and we stopped by Whataburger. It was the only thing there in Montgomery, Texas that was open that early, and some of the best honey biscuits you'll ever have come from Whataburger. But anyway, so, and it's funny you bring up the Spirit Club and
that happened. You know how that came about?
Hobart.
That was Hobart.
Shout out to Hobart McClendon.
It was born out of a fundraiser here for Roger Peace, who was involved in a horrible motorcycle accident, and Hobart said, "Why don't we do something for Roger to help him with his bills and things?" And so it went over so well. He said, "Why don't we just this worked really good. We got some good people involved. Let's form the Ashville Spirit Club." And from the Spirit Club, we did a lot of fundraising that also helped kick off this operation here, that Nick is involved with buying equipment. I mean, equipment's very expensive.
Well, I think it was you, was it not? Because there was this, let's keep this going, but it was your suggestion that said, why don't we raise the money to benefit this endeavor to promote Asheville? And so I remember having a phone call out in this hallway by this back door with Hobart McClendon the first time I'd ever talked to him. You set me up, and I talked to him. It was when he was still living down close to Auburn, actually. And I remember selling him on this idea, and he said, let's go for it.
Right. And I remember no one knew Nick Wilson. So I had to sell Nick Wilson to the group for the most part and explain what his dream was and his goal was. And I thought, if you guys can come up with a better fundraiser than that, I don't know what it would be. And so it took off from there. And we handled it in phases. I think we raised $5,000. We bought equipment. We raised another $5,000. We bought more equipment.
Yeah.
And that is some of that equipment.
Some of that equipment
still
we're still
here.
using
It's still
right now.
Still,
That's when Hobart was a Coke dealer. He was working for Coca-Cola, by the way.
Yeah.
He
Not
was,
to be
no,
confused.
no, he was working for.
okay.
He was driving a truck delivering to Hardee's.
Oh,
That's when
okay.
he was
It was a McLaren. It was wasn't
Yeah, I
it
can't remember the name
some
of it.
food. Yeah, food.
Yeah, it
anyway.
was a food group. And that's where, because he and I, and the way I remember that, I would leave at like 1 a.m. going to Georgia on my trips. He would be on the road delivering, and he and I would talk and work out a lot of the details in the wee hours of the morning, when we're at different points of the southeast, just talking while we're driving sometimes. And so there was a lot of behind the scenes. We'll never be able to lay it all out, but it's been a 10-year journey. Still going, still working a little different than it did then, but still the same goal. But I got way off of my football now.
Yeah, we got in the weeds, but that's okay.
That's the fun
okay.
part.
Go ahead.
I like playing in
Go
the
back.
weeds. A lot of things you can find in the weeds, some little treasures. So anyway, maybe I did look at it from a different. I didn't study as much what the other teams. I might ask Kevin, hey, what's Etowah? What they look like this year? He'd give me a rundown on Etowah or Oneonta or somebody. I had this feeling, and sometimes these feelings come to fruition that we picked the best choice we could pick for a coach for more than one reason. For one reason, he's done really well as a coach. Number two, he's an alumni here, and not just any alumni. His dad, Tom, played football here, was an excellent athlete here. And just so happened the 50th anniversary this year of a lot of good things starting to happen. A new coach came to Asheville that year in the fall of 75. Mm-hmm. And they started a winning tradition that year. So I don't know. It's just like the stars were lining up. Things were just starting to happen.
When you had some
great athletes this year.
You had what I think is real magical too, and I'm gonna talk about it a little bit to kind of set us up, and we'll all go through some of the big moments of the football season. But to me, and not to take any credit away from any of the coaches, I'm one of them. Mark especially, don't want to take anything away from him because I'll get to him in a second. And I love our coaching staff. I really do. We've got some great dudes up there and a lot of volunteers that are really, really awesome people, really good coaches. But you've got a group of upperclassmen, of juniors and seniors that have been through a lot the past 3 and 4 years. This group of seniors, this is their third head coach in 4 years. And they have, they had to witness one of their best friends tragically pass away in front of their eyes. They have had to deal with the loss of a coach, one of their coordinators, James Thompson, and a lot of personal issues too that every single one of them, all these upperclassmen, juniors and seniors have dealt with. And what has been amazing to me is seeing them come together despite all that and love each other so much. Literally, when I tell you they do not spend time away from one another really at all. They're always together, one or two of them. At any given moment, it's like there for a couple hundred years, the saying was the sun never set on the British Empire because it controlled so much of the world. Well, same is true for this group. The sun never sets on at least two of them being together at any given time. So then to see all that they had been through over the previous 3-4 years, these upperclassmen. And again, I don't want to take anything away from these freshmen or sophomores either, because they contributed, they developed, they came in and did what they needed to do. But I will say, as somebody that's been coaching here the past 7-8 years and involved with Asheville football a lot longer than that, these upperclassmen, especially these group of seniors, are the reason we're sitting here talking about a team that went to the playoffs for the first time in 20 years. Again, nothing against Mark. I think Mark would totally agree with you or with me, when I say that. And so what's so magical, and you mentioned it a second ago, what's so magical about that is the three of us can sit here and we can look every single one of those kids in the eye and we can say those are Asheville kids. And some of them aren't from here. Some of them did move here. But they didn't move here because they were asked to move here. They didn't move here because they were paid to move here, or because we got them an apartment somewhere, or because they told they were going to get something in return for moving here and playing here. They all moved. If they did move here, they came here for the right reasons. But most of them grew up here. Most of them, their families are from St. Clair County or from Asheville. And they love this school. They love this town. They love this community. They love each other. And there's something magical. There's something special about a team that, we might not have won the state championship, but by gosh, we went and we played in a playoff game for the first time in 20 years with our kids, with kids from this community. And that's something that our town and our community can be proud of, is that they were our kids. They were our players, our coaches, led by a guy who graduated from here, who grew up here, whose dad graduated from here, grew up here. So it's...
Whose dad also.
Whose dad, yeah. So it's, and by the way, I just want to mention this. We just hired a new history teacher. And I was taking him around. He's in my department, so I was taking him around, introducing him to stuff. And he said, how many people that work here graduated from here? And I started naming off. I'm like, well, Jim Browning, Holly Smith, Amanda McLaren, me, Heather, Stephen, and Haley, and it's just like da-da-da-da-da, Caleb, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, Leanne. I was like, oh, wow. There's like 70% of the people in this building graduated from here,
I don't mean to change the subject, but you just brought up this. There's another school in the state of Alabama that I'm familiar, you and you are familiar with too, that's hired mostly alumni as their teachers. Fife.
It's interesting how that works,
And look at the success they've had with all their...
Well, because when you bring back people that love the place, they care. Not to say that the people that aren't from here don't care, but you can, by gosh, guarantee that they care. There is never going to be any question. And
Let me sidestep 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's been said in years past, some of the teams in the 1950s here at Asheville were primarily Shoal Creek residents.
Yeah.
It was almost like Shoal Creek was
Shoal Creek University.
Shoal Creek High School. But so the Sanders were from Shoal Creek. Yeah. So that's another tradition, if you would, that I think plays into this, is that Shoal Creek mentality of, we're going to win. We're going to beat these guys. We got what it takes, and I don't know, I buy into that. You remember the 2020 season, we put Shoal Creek on the jerseys. That might have been the red letter name that should have went on there with Shoal Creek, not with all respect to all other communities, but Shoal Creek's been such a part. It's not like it's right next door like Whitney. I mean, it's kind of over here.
It's out there.
You live there.
I live there, yeah.
You're a Shoal Creeker too, aren't
I
you?
am.
What do y'all call yourself?
We're Shoal Creekers.
Shoalers.
We're Creekers.
And it's not like
Mark Sanders.
I can run to the house. I can be at my house in 8 minutes. It takes you 18 minutes to go. If he has to run home, he's got 36 minutes invested there and back every day. So Shoal Creek kind of way over here. But anyway, it's a big part of this program. Always has been.
Yeah.
So there's you.
Well, and and here's another thing. When was the last thing we had an first team All-State player?
Oh, I can't remember. Well,
would have been the early 2000s, right?
I know, and I'm just it would have been around when EJ played, or would that?
I don't
remember. Because
I
I
think
think
it
probably go
was-
further back than that.
I think it was around when DeMarlo played. I don't
Yeah.
know. I
Yeah,
think EJ
yeah,
might
DeMarlo,
have
yeah.
been like second team.
Tomorrow, yeah.
But I mean, so congrats to JB Potter, first team All-State.
Which, by the way, speaking of DeMarlo, I was looking at some stats the other day in the HSA rec where I was trying to find something, and I was kind of saying, I'm going to see where DeMarlo ranked. Now, DeMarlo's been out of school for maybe 21, 22 years, and he is still in the top 50 of all-time career. And that's I mean, you look at the running backs that have come out of the state in the last 20-something years, and he's still in the top 50. So I just give a shout out for him for that. But yeah, I just trying to remember the last time we had somebody that was, gosh, I mean I can't remember.
In an elite class, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Nick, one thing I noticed, and I made a Facebook post about it, about how the players have just bought into Coach Sanders.
Yes.
His entire coaching mentality.
Yes.
Isn't he a special guy that can just draw these boys in and just they want to just go lay their lives down for him on that field, and love every minute of it. And when it's over, they want to celebrate with him, and they want him around. And I thought that's a big ingredient in the success this season.
So
it's just that relationship.
And that's the other component to the success that I wanted to get to. The great thing about Mark is with his players is that he's so free and he trusts infinitely. Is there weakness in that? Yeah, there's some weaknesses in that, and that reared its head a couple of times this season. But it benefited us more than it didn't. But I think here's why: it's almost like lightning in a bottle, in the sense that you've got a group of kids that totally trust one another, and then you have a coach that comes in out of nowhere that totally trusts them. And that was the first time that I've seen that in a very long time at Asheville, that totally trusted the guys that were leading the program, and they led well. And they didn't lead in any way that I'm used to seeing kids lead. We talk about the 2020 and the 2021 seasons. We went 5-5 and 6-4. And those kids led. They were very much the type of offense that we ran at the time, very downhill, smash you in the face, stand over you, don't say a word, but just stand over you and stare at you and look at you and let you know that I just beat the ever-loving dog crap out of you. And these kids are almost, I'm not going to say the total opposite end of that spectrum. These kids could do that, and they would do that. They'd hit you and make you love it, but love was much more involved, and the friendship and the kinship and the bond was much more involved in this group than any other group that I've ever coached or seen play at Asheville. And Mark coming in, and Mark's personality, y'all know Mark really well. Yeah. He's so lovable. He's like a big teddy bear, and that just translated real well. And so it was like a missing puzzle piece. Yeah. It's like you have this giant jigsaw puzzle, and you lost that puzzle piece, and so you can't really complete that puzzle because you're missing one of these little corner edge pieces, and then it's like out of nowhere, Leanne Ford just brought in that missing puzzle piece, and boom, and now you have a complete puzzle.
I've told her many times. I said, and this is controversial from a standpoint of the gambling thing. I've joked with her. I said, hey, if I ever go to Biloxi, I'm going to take you with me because everything you touch turns to gold. But it's just in talking about those kids, and going back to Mark, a lot of people want to blame the coach when something goes wrong. Lose a game. Wow, they should have thrown the ball. And they won. They didn't play. They didn't tackle. I've always believed if the players execute successfully what the coach tells them to do, then we don't have the coaches could all day long tell those kids what to do, but they had to go out there and execute it, and that's the trust they had in each other, just like the Aniana game. We're down 21-6 or whatever. We score a touchdown 21-20, and I thought do we go for two or kick? And I realized, how we kind of struggled in that area. And I thought, go for two. And went for two, made it. And then we had the issue with the not issue, but they had the game scenario where the 4th and 3 at Hoax Bluff. There was times where I thought, but it just showed he had the trust in those kids, and they saw that he believed in them. And going back to to Mark, about the big teddy bear. And I thought, because people would ask me, well, that's cool about Mark. And I'll say this. Now, we didn't have social media back when John Gross was hired here. But just being out, I still was out in the community. I've never seen the community excited about a current football coach than we did with Mark Sanders.
Yeah.
And it's just, but I kept going. I said, and I've known. I used to tell people I knew Mark when he was little, since he was little, but I don't think he's ever been little. So since he was a young tyke, a tyke. But I've never seen him mad at all. And I thought, because and I come from the 80s where, if you miss a block, you're going to run. And I didn't play football. I had a lot of cousins and buddies that played football. If you missed a block or if you did this in a game, you get, of course, how many times we've seen John Smith post on Facebook about a tackle he missed, got blamed for, and he got chewed out about it, and come back, and it was, and I've never seen Mark get mad or upset. And I thought, if he ever does that, because I thought he needs to have his one moment where he just has a Nick Saban, but I don't think I've never seen.
He has.
That's not his style.
I've seen him with
but I'm not gonna say it hasn't, but
some of the officials got him.
I've been on the receiving end of it, but I gave it right back to him. We actually talked about that the other day. I love you, Mark, and I know you love me, but I can't say the words that we said on air. But anyway,
he's
he is lovable, but he can be passionate.
Okay,
absolutely.
He is the first alumni head football coach since Raymond Farmer.
Yes. No, John Gross.
I'm sorry, John Gross.
Yeah.
Okay. Apologies to Coach Gross. But
by the way, DeMarlo Blount was not
too.
a first-team All-State player. The last first-team All-State player was Brad Robertson in 2002.
Oh, that is
so. J.B. Potter's the first-team All-State player since 2002. That's 23 years. And shout out to Parker Smith, who was a second-team All-State. But when was the last time we had a second-team All-State player?
God, you got me beat on that.
I actually had dinner with this guy Saturday. Not that y'all know who that would, but it's Grayson Simpson in 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second-team All-State kicker. So, but anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I thought, one last thing on Coach Sanders was the fact that he is alumni. The players, I think part of the respect is that he did play football here. He played football for Alabama, and they know that. And that's a level of respect that he earned when he walked in here. They trust what he says. They know, hey, this guy's been around the block. I mean, I'm going to listen to him. I think that's another ingredient that he possesses that, help with the success of this season.
It's funny you mentioned that, and I think I can share this now because it was back May of 20. I guess it was 21, right after Shea had announced he wasn't coming back. Mm-hmm. One of the first things I did, I messaged Mark on Facebook, said, "Hey, Mama's coming home. Mama's calling, it's time to come home." And he just replied back, "Not God's timing." And I thought, well, and this was just me, my knee-jerk reaction. I thought, well, he's probably maybe looking for something maybe bigger, better. I won't say better, but just something down different. The road, like a bigger school. And but I found out he wanted, to learn 2 years under Coach Smith. Yeah. And he got developed a close bond with those kids at Westbrook. He didn't want to leave them. It wasn't the time. And then, of course, reflect back to this, a year ago, it was the perfect time. So,
and I think that there are a lot of factors that go into somebody changing places to coach. I've got a really good friend of mine that is getting ready to leave where he is right now, and he's looking for another home. And it's not necessarily that he's not happy. It's that he wants to do more. And, sometimes that's why you leave or you change. It's not that it's because you're not happy. It's that you want to do more than what you're either allowed to do or what you think the people where you are think you're capable of doing. And I'm so glad that Mark came when he did, because I honestly feel like that, again, going back to what I said about these upperclassmen, that we would not have been able to do what we've done as a team, as a program, if these upperclassmen hadn't been through what they've been through previously. And then that's not any – I don't intend any insult or any disrespect to any previous coaching staff. I've been on every single one of them. So if I did intend any disrespect, I'm including myself in that, but I don't. What I just mean is that a lot of times in life, not a lot of times, nobody can predict the future. There's only one person that knows what's about to happen, and none of us are God. So, but looking back, it's always interesting because hindsight's 20/20, and we can see why we had to go through things, both as a team, us here at Asheville, but also Mark, in other places, because this was supposed to happen the way that it did. And I really, what I want to mention though, that I really enjoyed about this season. Do y'all know what our away record was versus our home record?
I think we're undefeated, weren't we? Or
I think we only lost. Didn't we only lose one road game?
Hamilton.
Regular season.
Oh, so,
Go through all the okay. Springville, win. Aniana, win. Where else did we play on the road?
White Plains
win. Hopes Bluff, win.
St. Clair lost.
St. Clair lost. So, yeah, we only had one road loss, and that was St. Clair.
I don't count that game, and I'm not because of the situations.
Yeah,
both teams had injured players, and they just did. They
and
just
both teams first round of the playoff. The next week.
Yeah,
but I'll say this: some of my favorite memories were on those buses coming back on bus one, listening to our upperclassmen. Because all the upperclassmen were on bus one. Listen to those upperclassmen celebrate, watching Stephen Nuss drive that bus and smile, looking at his kids.
The Nuss bus.
The Nuss bus, looking at his boy and his nephew and their friend right behind him celebrate as ball boys with those bigger boys in the back of the bus, and seeing Mark and seeing the whole team celebrate, and then getting back into town and our police escort, shout out to you, Skylar, calling me and saying, all right, we taking a trip around the square? I said, heck yeah, let's go. And that becoming a tradition was so awesome. Were y'all at any of those?
We saw the aftermath.
Yeah. We were somewhere eating.
Yeah,
catching some
we were hungry. But we'd come back right through town and see that. Or the next morning, we'd get to see the.
So I want to that right there.
Clean up.
Now you and I are Auburn guys.
Yep.
Sorry. So rolling, rolling the square for us to be able to do that. There's not many schools that have the setup or the opportunity to do that. And this year, that's the one thing. After the first time we did it, the kids, all right, we're rolling the square. Yeah. Coach, we rolling the square. We going? And I'll tell you how it started. It was after we beat. I can't remember.
Was it Etowah or Hopes Bluff?
It was a home game. It might have been Etowah.
Yeah.
It was the first home win. Who was the first home win? Was that Etowah?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, because Anniston was the first game we lost that one.
Yeah.
And then Aniana.
And then Etowah was the first home victory. Yeah. So,
which, by the way, we need the Farmer Bowl trophy needs to come back. It's coming back if I have to drive to the high school and take it myself because I live 3 blocks from there. But anyway.
Shout out to Kenny Farmer.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Ball in his court last night. He says he can make that happen. So no pressure, Kenny.
But I walk in the locker room, and immediately JB Potter looks at me. Can we go roll the square? And he said it as a joke.
Yeah.
He said it as a joke. And I look at him and I laughed. And then he kept looking at me, and then I kept looking at him, and I said, hold on one second. I'd walk outside the field house, right outside the locker room, and I'll call Derek Mostella. Shout out to you, Derek Mostella, the mayor of Asheville. And I said, hey, I got a question for you. Now, this is a hypothetical. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you say no. The boys want to roll the square. What are your thoughts? He laughed and laughed and laughed. He said, man, we'll make it happen. I don't care. I think that'd be awesome. And I said, okay, hold on. I'm going to make them ask you. So I took my phone back inside, and I held it up to JB, and I said, all right, ask. And he goes, hey, can we, and for those of you that know JB, understand how awkward he can be. Can we roll the square? And again, shout out to all credit to Derek. He said, men, y'all deserve it. Go out there and have some fun. Don't worry about it. We'll figure out a way to get it cleaned up. We'll take care of it, but y'all have fun. Y'all deserve it. Congrats on the win. Proud of y'all. That whole side of the locker room, because I had it on speaker. Nate, Parker, Carter, Owen, all of Mays, Dre, all of them freaked out. Bull, Trent, Bray, Jamon, they all freaked out. And in about 10 minutes, the locker room was empty because everybody was headed to the square to roll it. And so that's so cool because, I think the whole theme of the conversation that we're talking about is the community this year did this. It was fun, we won, but we also did this. That was a great byproduct.
Yeah, it was.
We really came together.
With only one small infraction, I think. We had somebody that wasn't in on the fun.
That was after homecoming. And that officer, first off, we just want to also say thank you to the St. Clair County Commission, the St. Clair County Sheriff's Department, the City of Asheville, the Street and Water Department. Especially, we want to give a shout out to Boo Hale, who always coordinated cleanup of the square the day after. The Asheville Middle School Beta Club, who assisted Axel Hale as well. But there was one officer that did not get that memo, and it was just a miscommunication. It's not his fault. It was just a miscommunication. He was doing his job, but we got it all.
It adds to the folklore of this.
It does. It does. Hey, that's just another memory that we made. But I was sitting in the coach's office, and I get a phone call from somebody, and they're like, "Hey, you need to get down here. I can't get in touch with Leanne or anybody. You're the only school person I can get in touch with. You need to come down here and talk to this guy." So I get down there. And I start talking to the officer, and I'm not going to say what department he was from, but he was not from the Asheville Police Department. And he stood his ground. I will give him that. He was doing his job. Nobody was going to stop him from doing his job, but thankfully he got a phone call from somebody that could stop him and course correct his actions, and so that happened. But no ill will to him.
There are rankings.
There are
within that department. Too.
There are no ill will towards that gentleman. He was just doing his job, and he didn't know, and so it is what it is.
And ironically, that was the one game that I had missed because my sweet wife and her timing, she scheduled. It was our 25th wedding anniversary. Was September 16th, and the 20th was the perfect because Alabama was off.
Yep.
And they didn't play that week, and she scheduled a trip to Atlanta. Yeah. Well, the original plan was to be gone Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Well, somehow that got flipped to Friday. We're leaving around because Thursday or Wednesday, she's like, "We're going to be leaving around noon on Friday." I'm like, "Wait a minute, that's the Etowah game." And slip. I don't care how long you've been married. Husbands still say things that need to be put. You can't take the toothpaste out of the tube once it's out. I mean, you can't put it back in once it's out. And then so I made the comment, well, that's the Etowah game. And then she looked at me and she says, well,
it's our 25th wedding anniversary.
Yeah. Well, now that wasn't what she said. She says, well, I love Nikki and Mick, but they can. Mickey and Nick, I'll get it right. So they'll be able to survive without you. And of course, now I didn't go. Like a long story short, I didn't go without watching the game because I love you, Mary, and this is all in love. But that night, we'd gotten back to the room and we were sitting there, and wife was getting ready to go to bed, and I had my phone. Of course, the game had started late because of lightning.
Yeah.
So over there, it's like 9:00. So the game was just getting started, and all my wife came out of the bathroom. She was brushing, flossing her teeth, and doing what women do before they go to bed. And all she could hear on my phone was, "You need to take your gloves off. You can't catch the ball."
Well, Miss Leah has been.
And of course that's the night that my wife fell in love with Mary Huckabee or what I call Huck Vision. I mean, she sat there and every comment. Well, I mean, and of course, I've learned that there's a few people that she's not fond of in the world, like high school referees. So you need to call that both. I mean, it was just. Tears were rolling down my wife's face, and I said, and I told her who she was, and it just thought it was a hilarious moment there. But anyway, we got to I got to see the final minutes of the game where we won the game. So, and I mean, I hate it wasn't there, but hey, if that, because I made the comment, I said I won't go to another game this year if we win them all the rest of them. If I'm the I joked that I was the jinx or whatever. I said I'll stay away. And but that was a pretty cool moment to be at Etowah for the first time. Which me living 3 blocks from the high school, my chest stuck out big that week, walking around wearing green and white when I went and paid my bills and stuff. So
yeah, that was a really fun game. To witness and to be a part of. That was the whole season was great, and it's hard to put into words to encapsulate, I guess, what the season, I guess, means to each one of us, but go ahead.
Not to change, and also that next morning, I get a private message on Facebook from one Sonny Tibbs. He'd already had it mapped out that if Hamilton was the first seed in their round, I looked it up. He goes, we'll play y'all's region if Asheville's the 4 seed, and we're the 1 seed, we'll be playing in the first round. And of course, I had to play. I said, well, I said, you're not showing faith in your Dogs. What if we don't finish 4th? We might finish 2nd. You never know.
Yeah.
And of course, it worked out that we ended up playing. I know that was a special moment for Sonny because his son was starting wide receiver for Hamilton and got to reunite with Coach Tuart. Mm-hmm. And Josh Seawright and several players that were on that 92 team, they made the long travel to that game. So
let's talk about that game. Both of y'all were at the Hamilton game right there at the end. We did struggle in the first half, but we made some halftime adjustments. And I just want to give a real big shout out to the defensive side of the ball real quick. I was, every Sunday we as a staff would meet, and every Sunday Jim Browning, first-year defensive coordinator for us, and that was one of the best moves that I think Mark made this year as head coach, was bringing Jim on as the defensive coordinator. Shout out to Jim Browning, Sean Carter, Brad Bollinger, Isaiah Sharp, Joseph Brewer. Those guys, Drake Sanderson, those guys, the defensive side of the ball was so solid this year. Nobody, and I, as an offensive coach, I'm putting myself down here. We got out-coached every halftime by the defensive side of the ball. The adjustments, the way that our defensive coaches adapted the defensive scheme for who we were playing to the second half. I've never seen a more efficient use of players and kids and scheme in my life. There's no frills about it. They never did anything that was overly complicated, and it always worked. And I'm going to argue that, yes, while offensively we did make some adjustments in the second half against Hamilton, that had it not been for the defensive side of the ball containing that quarterback at Hamilton, we would not have been as successful as we were on offense. So I'm going to give a shout-out to Jim Browning and all the defensive coaches.
I agree.
And the kids, too, obviously. The kids executed the game.
And Hamilton, if my records are correct, they did not get a first down that whole second half until they made that final touchdown drive.
Yep. I think you're right.
And because it was 28-7, 28-14, 22, and just
now they tore us up the first half.
Oh yeah,
give them credit. They tore us up.
Little Johnny Manziel there. But just I was sitting there watching when we scored to make it 28-26, and the decision was made to go for 2, and the ball is in the end zone, and it's tipped, and it lands in the Jamon's. I mean, I thought that was. Just the crowd. I wish I had videoed the crowd on the side when he made that play. Yeah. And in fact, the last play of the game, I think we threw to Parker. He caught it. Was it out of bounds? Was that
Dre? It was Dre. Dre caught it. I don't remember who he dropped it, but he was out of bounds regardless. But yeah, that was it was meant to happen. It was meant for us to go that way, fight back, and the crowd that we had all the way in Hamilton. Are you kidding me?
I mean, that was unbelievable.
It was awesome.
Let me add to that. You might remember this. That was a great trip for me. I'm sure it was for Kevin as well. I was tapped to pull the band trailer to Hamilton because they
had an issue, right?
Daniel Gossett heads up the assigning the trucks and the drivers.
The logistics guy.
Yes, he's the logistics guy for the band. And because of when the game was played, where it was played, the dates and so forth, he ran into a problem. He didn't have anybody to pull the trailer. I think he had big backup plan, but it was going to be very difficult. And he asked me to do it, and I did it. Kevin went with us. And also shout out to Brother Sammy Hodges,
Yeah.
who is pastor. I had to look this up because I couldn't remember. Hillside Church in Summerton. He was a former pastor here at Asheville First Methodist, and he knows this community really well. And they provided their fellowship hall and also people there to host the band for a meal that was catered by Green Top Barbecue. But anyway, shout out to Sammy for making that happen. That was great.
If that doesn't show and exemplify what the Asheville family is all about,
Right.
even though they don't live in Asheville anymore, they're still a part of the Asheville family.
Still part of the Asheville family. There was a link that he took care of us. It was easy in, easy out. You know, parking and all that was so easy. But I enjoyed that trip. And when we left Hamilton, I was glad I filled up my truck because I asked Daniel, I said, are we stopping anywhere? You never know.
Yeah.
Restaurant.
Going
No,
straight
sir.
home.
Straight to Asheville.
The interesting
Anyway.
part of that trip, there was, we didn't take the direct trip through like the football team did. We took the alternate because we were going to Summerton. But along the way, we passed by an establishment that was been frequented many times by James Spann on television. And the band kids started asking, what is that? Hey, there's the place that James Spann's talking about. And, of course, Mr. Record, I think, had to explain to the kids. I remember him having a conversation about that, having to explain what. I'm not going to mention the name of the place, anyway, I just thought that was very interesting. That was a fun trip because several things, like I said, got to meet got to stop there at the church and got to take a different route. And I never had been down I-22 before. And I never had an opportunity. That was that's a very frequent interstate that I think goes to Memphis or somewhere. So
right through North Mississippi. But
and we were almost in Mississippi.
We were. And again, thank you to Hamilton. Sonny Tibbs was very good. He's actually the Booster Club president for their football booster club at Hamilton High School, former player here. I'm never going to forget the video of him catching that ball and spreading his arms out and laying back in the end zone for Asheville.
He told me that he offered his kid $100 if he scored a touchdown against Asheville to do that same thing. He was scared to do the kid. He afraid the coach would get on him.
Yeah.
So.
And by the way, too, shout out to those kids at Hamilton. They played a great game. The coaching staff had a good game plan. They were very well coached. Hamilton High School was very accommodating. It was obviously you're disappointed. You want to win. That's why you do this. You do this to win. And there are no moral victories. But the way that I saw the community show up, if I'm going to take it outside of football for a second, that's something that will stay with me forever. Because for years and years and years, especially growing up, I had to witness some rough years for Asheville football, and I always deep down in my heart knew what it could be, and that's one of the reasons that I came back, because I wanted to be a part of bringing that back. I know the three of us did, you two especially, and I never in a million years thought that I would be a part of a coaching staff to do that, but here we are, and I kind of want to transition though the success that we had in football to now what we're seeing in all these other sports. Wrestling's, of course, doing very, very well. And shout out to volleyball, by the way. Volleyball, again, under first year varsity head coach Kristen Seals, another alumnus, made it all the way to Hoover to regionals. So shout out to volleyball. That was awesome to see. You got volleyball going to the playoffs. You got football going to the playoffs. You got cross country. We had several runners make it to the state meet in Oakville. Great fall for Asheville athletics. And then you come into the winter, wrestling, girls and boys wrestling are doing well. Indoor track is doing really well. And then you've got basketball. So the boys right now are 11-1. I'm not sure what the girls are, but the girls are 2-0 in area play. I know that for certain. Which is wild.
That's all that matters.
It's area play, so.
Well, I can say that I'm a proud papa. I have 7 grandchildren that address me as papa. And of those 7 grandchildren, everyone plays sports, and they're involved with every sport you just mentioned, plus soccer. So I'm proud of that. So I'm busy doing videography for one or more of those sports, and it's fun to be able to witness a member of your family on the field or on the court representing the Bulldogs. That makes it all even more special.
And I know the boys during football season were always, hey, when's Mickey posting the highlight?
Yeah.
And now in basketball season, it's the same thing.
Well,
and the
that's
girls,
all I want to hear.
The girls have gotten to that point too. If the girls win, they know, hey, when's Mickey going to post the highlight?
I've been thinking about this. I'm really amazed at the huddle broadcast and how far it's come in what seems to be a short amount of time. That the technology has really moved quickly. But, it's a challenge to me. I've got to do better than what huddle. I've got to add that personal touch to it on these highlights. Huddle has a highlight. You can see a kid play, but I want to capture the emotion. That's my goal. And I don't know if anybody wonders, why do you zoom in right after they make a play? That's where the emotion is.
Yeah.
I was talking to Coach Tom Griffith of the varsity basketball like you. I said, and he's played big time sports. And I said, one thing I noticed when a player scores in basketball, they turn into a coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They start directing the team, and I love that. I absolutely love that. Or they just get hyped up, and it's just I want to capture that emotion, that moment when right after a victory, or right after a big-time score where it changed the momentum of the game, or we needed that one really bad. You can just see the emotion in the eyes. You can read their eyes, and so that's all I want to hear from the athlete is, man, I love this. When's the next one going to come out? Because I stay up a lot of nights really late.
I know you
Sometimes
do.
I'll make a little error, and I think, well, that's because you were falling asleep at the wheel here at your Big Mac computer, celebrating his 10th birthday, by the way.
But that's okay, though. I mean, that's, the reason we do this is to shed light on the coaches and the players that work their butts off and represent our school, but not just our school, our community. It's funny, there was I had one of my students. Well, he's actually one of my players. He's one of my golfers, and he helps on the media side of things too. Owen Campbell. He went to the 2A state championship game to watch Coosa. He had a buddy of his that was on Coosa's football team, and he somebody mentioned to him. I believe he and his dad were talking about it. I think it was after the game. He went home and he was talking about how many people were there for Lynette, and there was Lynette, right? And how many people were there for Lynette versus Coosa, and his dad, Deuce just looked back at him and said, well, son, that's the difference between a school and a community. And it's so true. Asheville's so much more than just a school. We're a community. And I'm lucky that, and again, no shade to Coosa, no shade to any private school or anything like that. But I'm just saying, in our case, we are lucky to be in a community that is very supportive. Because, there are schools out there that are in communities that don't have the support that we have. And so that's, to me, again, I feel like this is the third or fourth time I've said it, but that's what makes Asheville so special is what the support and the community that we've got. And I think, like, the fact that this show even exists, that there are people that are going to listen to this. Sure, there might not be a lot of people that listen all the way to this point. We might have bored them to death. But
we can fix that anyway.
There are some people that probably will listen all the way to the end of this. So thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you to all our sponsors and the Asheville Sports Foundation as well. But where do we go from here? How do we continue the momentum? And I know that's something that keeps Leanne Ford up at night, Mark Sanders up at night, Caleb Carpenter up at night. It keeps me up at night. All our head coaches. How do we keep the momentum going? And it's awesome to know that you two guys are helping push that momentum too.
Well,
so thank you.
I promise you,
thank
the guy
you
sitting across from me right there, nobody's more dedicated than he is to Asheville, and making himself available for whatever we need. Kevin, I want to tell everyone you've really always been there, and you've been my road partner now for many years, and we tag team it, go on these away trips and try to have a little fun out of it and find somewhere good to eat.
I was about to say, what's the best food stop y'all have made this year?
Probably the band, really, the Green Top Barbecue.
Yeah.
I mean, that was and that didn't cost anything for us. I mean, it was on the house. So
Now,
that was
you may not remember this, but I thought about this the other night when I was watching Ashville play Oxford. After we played Anniston last year, we were going to eat at Applebee's. We were in the turn lane, right? Oxford's high school's over here to the right, and we're in the turn lane, and police have got the street blocked off, and we can't get into Applebee's. So I looked up, here comes the Oxford football team on the bus. So I picked up my cell phone and called Mr. One Shay Monroe. And I said, what are you divas? I said, you see that black truck? He goes, yeah. I said, that's us. We can't get into Applebee's because of y'all. And of course, he was he was sitting right beside the head coach at the time, and I think they had won. I can't remember that, but I could crash on their win. But he was like, I was like, y'all need to come and join us. Well, we may do that, but it was just so funny that they were coming in right there. But we've had some adventures on some of our after our away games. I mean, there's been times where we would drive and there's the golf cart for the band over in the ditch. Remember
that happened.
It came apart from the trailer and it just over in the ditch.
Sometimes we pull into a fast food place just in time to see the lights go out.
Yeah. and then we were coming back from Oak Grove. We stopped. I think it was Oak Grove. We were stopped there in Bessemer, and we were sitting there at the Sonic, and we heard a bunch of gunshots go off while we were stuffing hot dogs down our mouth.
Oh,
so.
Okay. All right.
Hey, it's all part of the deal, and I love it. I wouldn't take anything from my experience with it, and looking forward to whatever's in the future.
I was about to say, are y'all going to stop anytime soon?
Stop doing what?
This.
I just purchased a brand new camcorder. I don't think right now is the time to stop, but as long as I can physically do it, I'll be here.
Well, the reason I'm along with you is because nobody else wants to be around me, especially like my wife on Friday night. She's like, hey, don't you have a game to go to with Mickey? And I said, of course,
look,
yes,
I was going to say earlier, Miss Leah afforded you many a week Friday nights to go help the Bulldogs.
That's got me out of many of
you didn't
projects.
have to wash dishes or vacuum that night, right?
So do it now?
You didn't have to wash dishes or vacuum those nights.
Okay. Well, she saved it for Saturday morning, so.
Yeah, there you go. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for coming on. I know this is the first episode we've done in a long time, so thank you for being patient with us and tuning in and supporting the show. Every time we have people on Dawg Talk, I want to make sure we hit this. It's because they contribute to our athletics program, and they do it in a way that makes Asheville better. I don't want to waste anybody's time by bringing people on just to have a random conversation, just to meet a sponsorship requirement for the show or whatever. Every time we have people on the program, whether they're players, coaches, or people that are a part of the program in some way, it's because they actually do contribute. And I want to thank these guys for contributing to the program for the past 10 plus years. And to see where we are as an athletic program with you guys still a part of it, it's really nice. This is like a full circle moment. So
speaking of people we've had on in the past, I had an opportunity to play the national anthem at the 2A, which was very cold, by the way.
Yeah.
And when I was up in the club area, I ran into a few of some previous Asheville coaches. Which was kind of awkward. I just took the high road, and one of which I ran into was on the sidelines was one Bill Clark, and we were talking. And of course, we had a good little talk there for a second, and I said, he goes, y'all had a good year this year, and I said, yeah. I said everything went our way. I said we finally got the right fit, and of course, he's always cutting up, funny personality, and he made the comment, well, that's what she finally listened to me. Talking about Lynn, she finally listened to my advice.
Yeah,
but that was tongue in cheek, but he was, he was glad to see Asheville doing well. So, and he was appreciative of the fact he mentioned to me that a couple years ago, when his father passed away, we did put the RC initials. He was very appreciative because Asheville will always be a special part of my career, and he said he would never forget that. So, which by the way, speaking of, shout out to Coach John Gross, the head coach of the Sanford Bulldogs.
I know, that's awesome, isn't it?
I never saw that. Never thought with everything going on with the Asheville Bulldog football team, I never that just hit me out of left field. But congratulations to
Absolutely.
There's many roads of success that have went through Asheville.
Yeah,
no doubt. And well, gentlemen, I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to Asheville All Access to get all of our live streams, games, everything that we put there. You can access it through the Huddle fan app and subscribe there, and you can access it through our website, AshevilleAthletics.com. You can subscribe. Every single cent of that goes to pay for our Huddle bill. It supports Asheville athletes' ability to watch film, make highlights, send it off to recruiters, and get better at practice and for games. So we really do appreciate you guys for that. We got more news coming about Asheville All Access at the end of the year in May, but I can't reveal that right now. Just stay tuned for that. Otherwise, we really do appreciate it, guys. Thank you, and go Dogs. Oh, sorry.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. So, good job, guys.
Dogs.
That was
Great for life.
Does it feel good to be back?
I didn't at first. I didn't know what we were going to be talking about. And I thought, well, you know, I figured it would be something that's kind of sort of like this, like a reunion, catch up kind of thing. Because I thought, you know, I don't have all the stats like who's the top wrestler, basketball, kind of thing. But I've been keeping on basketball. I was going to go to the Oxford game tonight, but I didn't get the opportunity. I had some stuff to take on. And I felt like I really seen that gym and field house over there.
We gang green.
Yeah, the gym
On the mat, on the track, on the court, on the floor, out the door, you can take it anymore. No, on the field, how we deal, about to kill, got you sitting on the floor like, Daddy, how you feel? Yeah, paying bills, making meals, student section giving out, cheering loud, and they give everybody chills. Yeah, giving back, dishing flag, cut no slack, and I know for a fact my dogs always got my back. Everybody want a life like this. If you fall, I only care if you rise like this. I football team pushing out with all them eyes. Shout out to my homies at the 3-point line.